Bitcoin is different. Like it's a global phenomenon and it's self-enforcing.
I refer to Canaan as the godfathers of modern Bitcoin mining, as Canaan's founder was the first person to create an ASIC Bitcoin miner back in 2013.
You have to see the demand of what customers want. And right now it's all about AI. Not everyone is running AI systems at the same time. You add in Bitcoin mining, you have a balanced business model with AI technology, Bitcoin mining, and green energy.
It all comes down to the concept that industrial level products will move into consumer level products.
And if we look at the Nano 3S, I believe that has 6.8 terahash per second. And S9, the workhorse of the 2017 era, has 13 terahash? So it's like half an S9 right there that you can just sit on your desk.
Everybody can plug it in, connect it to your Wi-Fi at home, and just start mining.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bitcoin News channel. I'm your host, Rob Wallace, and today I am very grateful to be joined by the team from Canaan Incorporated. I refer to Canaan as the godfathers of modern Bitcoin mining, as Canaan's founder was the first person to create an ASIC Bitcoin miner back in 2013. And now they've gone on to become the first mining rig manufacturer to be listed on the NASDAQ. Today, they're not just building machines, but they're mining, they're manufacturing, and managing one of the most vertically integrated operations in the whole Bitcoin mining space. So today, I am joined by Leo, Chris, and Gwyn of the Canaan team, and I will kick it over to you guys to introduce yourselves one by one. Please, Leo, take it away.
Thanks, Rob. My name is Leo Wang. I'm the VP of Capital Markets and Corporate Development of Canaan. I joined this company back in 2021. I'm based in California, the Bay Area specifically, and I'm part of the U.S. teams.
Wonderful. Chris?
Hi, I'm Christopher Crowell. I'm head of business and sales for Canaan, and specifically in North America, we're working hard to increase the brand awareness of our machines and to create increase hash rate on this side of the world. As you stated, and thank you very much, Rob, we have been in the space a long time. I'm really proud of this company developing, FPGA technology and ASIC technology. It's been a big help to the entire Bitcoin ecosystem, and we love what we do.
Wonderful. And thank you. Gwyn?
Hey everyone, I'm Gwyn Lauber. I joined the company about a year ago, just over, and I work with investor relations, public relations, and government relations. I joined the company from semiconductor background. That's where I come from, the hardware space. I was new to Bitcoin at the time, but very familiar with the hardware aspect of the company. So it made me very comfortable to move to a company like Canaan and learn more about Bitcoin and be with one of the creators of the industry as we know it today. So thanks, Rob.
Cheers. Yeah. So let's take it back to the beginning. So your CEO, founder, Nangan Zhang, he created the first Bitcoin ASIC in 2013. What was he doing? Was it just a hobby project that turned into the company that you guys have now? And what's the journey been like over the last 12 years?
Interesting. So Nangan, our founder and CEO, was a PhD candidate. He had already found Bitcoin and was one of the key early adopters of Bitcoin in China. And he started FPGA design back in 2011, 2012. And there was the news that an American company called Butterfly Labs were developing a new technology called ASIC technology, and they were trying to use the ASIC to disrupt the Bitcoin mining system. And back in Asia, several developers in Japan and China were trying also to do the same thing because they want to keep the spirit of Bitcoin as a decentralized blockchain. So they were hopeful that with more than one developers in the universe, the network will be consolidated and this, rapidly decentralized into other places of the world. So long story short, he started that. He raised a little bit of money through pre-sale selling his machines. And then he had a small team. They started the project in November 2012 and finished it in January 2013. It's becoming the first ever to ship a Bitcoin miner to the world. Back then it was really hard because you have very small allocation from TSMC. So you just could not meet the entire market demand. People were getting their investment back by mining in the matter of weeks. So people were really crazy about buying all these machines. So Nangan honored his promises to all the pre-orders, and then they quickly moved to the next generation. Only during 1 year, they have developed 3 different generations of miners. And, the next year, some of the potential investors who wanted to buy more machines started a new company called Bitman. And about another year later, there was MicroBT. And 3 companies today are still manufacturing and designing most of the Bitcoin miners in the world. We, being the only public traded company, is more akin to U.S. values and U.S. assets. We had our initiative self-mining starting last year in North America, and we have quickly developed into almost 10 exahash of mining hash rate across the globe, half in Africa and half in America. And we also started our home mining projects about half a year ago, and it's been quite successful for the company. Yeah, so it was quite a ride, many ups and downs, but we're here.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin mining, as we usually say, is the most competitive business in the world, right? I mean, you're looking for cheap energy, cheap product, you need to find the right places, right team members. And so to create a successful business for that long is really quite the accomplishment. So it really does seem within the last sort of 2 years, 4 years, you guys really have really flourished in creating all these different aspects of your business. So talk about the transition of going from just a simple mining rig manufacturer into a miner, a treasury company, and everything else you guys do now.
I'll touch on this a bit. Post going public, we were going through COVID. So there were travel issues and things affecting the world on a large scale. Through this time period, we focused on taking that time to develop the North American team and part of the business. And it's been a great success so far because we got to use a lot of our skills that we developed over the past, 5, 7, 8 years in Asia and also in North America, to be fair. It was a global effort, but really focus on this part since there were so many opportunities. From that came relationships and our first press releases with publicly traded companies here on this side of the world, including our first really major green energy Bitcoin mining project that was on this was over here in United States. And from that, we took off from sales orders and using those resources, almost following those principles from our start, where it's for the Bitcoin ecosystem as opposed just for ourselves, and using these resources to better the resources we can provide clients on this side of the world. So things that really, I guess you could say, paid off was that putting the feet down on this side of the world. And you talk about what we're doing now. Our company likes to follow the waves, and we're very conservative in how we move the business. So our mining machines are built to run in a Bitcoin facility and not turn off, so you get that good uptime. We're also following treasury company movements. We've always been big Bitcoin fanatics, as you can imagine, since we started in the inception doing ASIC mining, but we love the idea of holding Bitcoin on the balance sheet. It's something that we do, and then of course Gwyn and Leo can talk more about that. But another great thing we've done is we put names to faces, and we've been on the ground to mining sites. We're visiting clients. We're visiting publicly traded companies, private companies, and we're seeing what they need so we can provide them with better cooling, whether it be air-cooled, immersion, dielectric fluids-based, or hydro, which is big. And we're finding out the differences of what those needs are for this side of the world. And we're learning from it too, so that we can better ourselves and make our company really just ready for the next cycle. We just had a great press release news with a big, large purchase. We had a over 50,000 Bitcoin miner purchase, which you can read about on our investor page on our website at Canaan.io. The news is everywhere. You can Google it as well. And also another wonderful, great mining project with a publicly traded company named Soluna. So we feel like we're making a lot of headway, and we're doing great things for Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin as a digital asset.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That 50,000 miner sale made headlines. We reported on it in Bitcoin News. In terms of your total capacity, like what percentage of the amount of miners that you make in a year is 50,000? What does that represent?
Our production capabilities are quite powerful. We're definitely supply chain management experts, and being in the industry this long gives us a great ability to push out machines. And we pride ourselves in being able to fulfill bulk orders. And I think it sets us apart from a lot of the new players which are producing ASIC miners, in that we are shipping these at scale, and we do have the capacity. Leo can talk more on these details.
Yeah, I would call, in a regular year, we ship from 200,000 to 300,000 a year in terms of units. But as we move along, our machines are becoming more and more powerful, and each machine will represent more terahash or computing power compared to their last generation. So these 50,000 machines are our current generation, latest generation machines, and they're the most powerful ones. So in terms of hash rate, they're actually higher in terms of a percentage as to the yearly sales volume. So it's a very meaningful order for the company, especially when we have decided to allocate more of our resources to North American region, despite the tariff and all the disruptions in the supply chain. I'm very optimistic about our positioning here in North America, being the only publicly traded company with very solid compliance programs, as well as our supply chain source and manufacture both in Southeast Asia and the United States.
And Gwyn, you come from the world of chips before you got into Bitcoin mining. Talk about the current landscape. I mean, semiconductors, I mean, this is one of the most valuable resources in the world right now. Talk about the competition for these chips, making relationships with foundries, making sure you guys are first in line to get the chips that you need. And what's it like in this global marketplace at the moment?
Yeah, so we've pursued a strategy that's a little bit different from our competitors. And I think that has a lot to do with being one of the original companies in this space. So we have a multi-foundry strategy where we work with both TSMC and Samsung, working to develop our chips till we figure out which chip is the best, strongest in the market. Some generations have been stronger with TSMC, some with Samsung, but with our current generation, we're working, that's our A15. We're working with Samsung as our foundry partner. And we believe because of their technology, we've been able to make a chip that's more durable, more resilient than competitive products, which is leading to greater uptime and a really durable product for Bitcoin mining, which, as you can imagine, Bitcoin mining is typically done in pretty inhospitable places, extreme hot, extreme cold temperatures, and our chips do extremely well there. So I think that's given us an advantage over the competition. And with this generation, we've done very well. And I'm sure that's what makes Christopher quite happy, because, he's out talking to the customers every day, talking to them about our products, which are, again, uptime's important. Every moment that you're down, is costing customers money. So we're definitely advantaged there.
So let's talk about the tariffs. The first half of this year was really, that was the main story. You couldn't look at any financial paper or news source and not see tariff tantrum in the headlines. And your industry was highly impacted by this, right? Everything is really manufactured over in Asia, and then a lot of the hash rate is running over here in America. So it's got to cross the Pacific and be loaded up and run over here. So tell us about what those days in April were like for your company. Was it were you guys very nervous? Was it scary? Was the business in jeopardy itself? And how have you dealt with those changes? And what is it like moving forward?
Canaan has been a very nimble company over the decade, right? So there's been many disruptions in this industry. China used to be the capital of Bitcoin mining, and all of a sudden the government started to feel they have the responsibility to get it out of China, and everyone moved out, and our client base had to shift from Chinese customers to customers that's 100% outside of China. And we did that shift in 1 quarter, right? In 2020. And, there were, supply chain disruptions. There were COVID. We handled all that, for this company, we have global presence, and we're very flexible. When there is strategic movements, the whole company is, organized and, designed to move very fast. I would call some of the fastest company in the world. So when the tariff happened in April, our CEO went to different places to change the supply chain. And because in the beginning of the year, the policies weren't as clear as today. And knock the wood, hope it gets clearer. We were trying to save for our customers. I think the impact came in twofolded. The supply was still very stable because everybody has already placed their orders with foundry partners, and chips are coming out. And we need to get the chips into machines and keep our manufacturing as our cell mining. And then the demand went down because, especially for North American public companies, they have the responsibility to their investors to not make themselves in the position of disadvantaged position against everyone else in this world outside the United States. Because for the higher cost that they manufacture and they produce the same amount of Bitcoin. So many of these companies started to move quicker into AI HPC, and they've been allocating a lot of capital and also strategic movements into AI HPC as opposed to expanding their Bitcoin mining. As of today, many of them still generate most of the revenue from Bitcoin mining, but they don't want to talk about it anymore. So it is that the time when you have to help your customer to overcome a declined valuation on the Bitcoin mining machine, but also keep their return on investment higher, and also in the same time overcome the tariff effects. But I want talk about how we managed to open our manufacturing base in California, United States.
I wanted to briefly interrupt today's interview to give a big shout out to our lead sponsor, Rhino Bitcoin. Rhino is the all-in-one Bitcoin super app built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. Buy or sell instantly. Send sats anywhere on the Lightning Network. Withdraw straight to cold storage. Even turn sats into gift cards or link to a Casa multisig, all within one sleek interface. And Rhino is just warming up. Soon, you'll pay bills, borrow against your Bitcoin, and save for retirement, all without leaving the app. Download Rhino at rhinobitcoin.com or tap the link in the description below. Use promo code Bitcoin News and Rhino will drop you $10 of free Bitcoin into your account today. Secure your stack with Rhino Bitcoin and enjoy the rest of the video.
The California manufacturing facility was quickly set up with some test runs in a matter of weeks. And then, we started to source our parts locally. we started to allocate our engineers over to take a closer look at saving. And now I'm very glad that the manufacturing cost in the United States is actually slightly lower than the manufacturing cost in Southeast Asia. It's kind of counterintuitive, but because the chips are exempted from tariff, that had largely offset the additional cost in manufacturing, labor and power and everything in North American regions. So that gives us the advantage and also help us to source our United States orders and supporting our U.S. customers.
It's a great point, Leo. But I'd also like to add that, again, we're a global company. And while the tariffs had a huge impact on North American or U.S. public miners, we were lucky enough to have relationships outside the U.S. and to be able to pivot and sell more outside the U.S. at that point. So we were lucky to be that flexible in terms of, as a publicly traded company, we were able to make and exceed slightly our guidance for the quarter. So while it was a scary time, we certainly were fortunate enough to be flexible enough to pivot and to, again, do what we said we were going to do for the quarter.
Yeah, and Chris, I'd love your input on this.
Well, I'll just reiterate what Gwyn and Leo both said. We've been through different China back and forth over this 12 years, and we've also been through COVID, and it's just following what we need to do and moving it. Back in April, we had to adjust some of the negotiations that we were having, and as Gwyn said, we did have resources in other places. But it was just time to change our thinking and set up production over here. And we've been through this before with our Malaysia production, but we did it the right way, right? So we have products coming out of Malaysia that are perfectly ready to be imported into the United States. There's no question of where they came from, national certification and products ready to be shipped straight into the States. And I think we pride ourselves in that with the last cycle for Bitcoin, our products came into the States and there was no question where they came from. And that's a testament to how responsible our company is and how we watch the market and see what the actual needs are for clients, so that we're producing products that not only run well, but also can ship well, right? And this is the same story with the U.S. production. The news is out, right? It's California. So I think that is really interesting, really cool. And it's really exciting to support tech in the United States and have that resource for everyone available.
Are there any other Bitcoin miners that are manufacturing in America now? Or were you guys the first ones to do it?
As much as I know, we are the only company that has disclosed specifically where we manufacture in the United States. There are rumors about other companies producing, but we haven't really read through or seeing anything indicating our competitors are manufacturing from United States.
So you guys are headquartered in Singapore, you're manufacturing in Malaysia and California, you're mining all over the world, including Ethiopia, right? So, I mean, you guys are truly a global company. What is it like managing an operation that large? Do you know the different aspects of your company? What's the communication like? And do you continue to branch off into new places on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our headquarters in Singapore, CEO and CFO and most of our management members are, working and living in Singapore. But Singapore is a great place. It's independent. It's very, very modern, has a lot of resources, both capital and talents. So that makes us unique in terms of managing global businesses. We have Chinese offices. We have engineers all over the world, and we also have salespeople in different regions. We also cooperate with dozens of repair shops, which services our manufactured machines and containers. So I guess it's very important to be part of the ecosystem, and Bitcoin happened to be a global ecosystem. So you can't do your business properly without emerging into that global presence of Bitcoin itself. Also, one interesting part of that is most of the industries will see differentiated narratives across different regions. Like people who, do certain things in North America might be different from people who do the similar things in Asia. But Bitcoin is different. Like everyone has similar narrative. It's a global phenomenon, and it's self-enforcing. Like if you're an Asian investor and you read the news about, American government thinking of taking Bitcoin as a strategic treasury, that's good news for American investors, but also great news for Asian investors, right? So it's like a brotherhood. So we are part of it, and it's been really, really helpful for this company, because all our partners across the globe are working together to help with a strengthened blockchain on Bitcoin itself. And our machines, if they're strong and good, which we believe are, they're gonna be a great fit for North American miners, and they are gonna be a great fit for everyone else in different places who mine Bitcoin. And no matter what you do, and no matter how you do it, it's very universal. So I guess, being a worldwide decentralized company with resources in different regions isn't that hard, because, everyone has the same mindset. We have the same values, and our partners and customers all have similar idea about doing the same businesses.
Oh, that's great. And I think that plays into, the fact that Bitcoiners are incentivized to help each other, right? We're all building this network together. There's no CEO, there's no marketing team here, there's no Bitcoin headquarters. We're all individually assisting the network grow, breathe, and spread. So I think each one of us, while we might compete in our own different factions, at the end of the day, we're all here to see Bitcoin flourish and help the world. And I think an interesting part of your business is the long-term efficiency of it, right? You guys have been designing chips for over a decade, so you have relationships with foundries, right? And that gives you priority treatment there, most likely. Then you're making them yourselves, and then you're mining, so you get the rigs at a cheaper cost than anybody else can get them. And then you've got you're mining it yourself, and you can get energy deals there, and then you have a treasury operation on top of that. So, Gwyn, I'll kick this over to you. Can you talk about the efficiency of the company itself and the fact that you're vertically integrated and how that makes you competitively advantaged to everybody else?
Yeah, I think for us, having lived through all the past cycles, we've learned a lot, and along the way, we've realized that, if you're a machine manufacturer, just a pure play machine manufacturer, you're vulnerable to the bull and bear cycle to the market. But by becoming a self miner as well, that gives us a great opportunity to ride the cycle more efficiently. So during a bull market, we might choose to sell machines to our customers when the ASP per terahash is high. But in a bull market, we can pivot and use more of our machines to do self-mining when the ASP of the machine would be lower. So we can more effectively manage our inventory, manage where the machines are going when, so that we can maximize our profitability.
And when we talk about profitability, it really comes down to, if you're a Bitcoin miner, it's how cheap can you get your rigs and how cheap can you get your energy. And AI, of course, is the narrative du jour, and Bitcoin miners are playing a big part of that. So, Chris, could you please share with us how Bitcoin mining and AI work together, and what is the future of these two industries being symbiotic?
Thank you. You're definitely an expert in Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining. You're saying all the right key points. So I'll just talk a little bit about traditional Bitcoin mining first before I go into the HPC and AI. Traditionally, as you mentioned, it's always been about how low of a cost can you get your power for, and how low of a cost can you get your Bitcoin mining rigs for, right? And there's actually a third factor as well. It's the power efficiency of your miner. And these three factors are almost like a triangle to find a balance of what type of machines you should use and where you should put your site. I tell a story about a few cycles ago. People would, try to find a cheap spot with power and then run their Bitcoin miners for 90 days until they were paid off and that they could pay for the next mining machines that came out in the next 90 days because the machines were updating so quickly back then. And when you look at this balance for choosing your Bitcoin miners and choosing the facility to run, you have to find yourself the best price for a Bitcoin mining machine without sacrificing the power of the machine, the power efficiency and how well it runs. And of course, you can't put the machines in a residential home, where the power prices are very high. You need to find somewhere more industrial and somewhere that has resources that are good for data centers, right? And that takes us to the main part of your question is the data center management and the site selection. So right now, it's all over the news. One of our huge clients that we have a great relationship with, Cipher Mining, who they've purchased our machines in the past. They are in the news because of their involvement in this big rush for better data centers and finding resources to power. And a company, Google, has looked to them for that. Choosing data centers is a very tricky business because you need to find the right regulatory frameworks, the area that makes sense. You have to find a low power cost because of how much power is used. And at scale, it could be a huge cost if you don't have a good resource on the power front. And you have to see the demand of what customers want. And right now, it's all about AI. Everyone wants to run systems automatically through these computer processes, these large language models, and what might be coming next, managing the world, right? So with all that power being used, I kind of compare AI to a TV or a toaster oven. And let me explain why. In the morning, we get up and we get ready to go to work or we get ready to take the kids to school and we're using a lot of power, right? We turn the TV on, we're charging the EV, whatever it might be, and the power costs are high. But during the day, there's not as much demand, right? And then when you come home, it's the same thing. You charge your EV, you turn on the TV. So energy has peak times. So not everyone is running AI systems at the same time. There are obvious times, if you look at the data, you look at the graphs that show peak and non-peak timings for AI usage, it's very clear that it's not always 100% online. And that makes sense. So where we see Bitcoin mining coming into play is that balancing of the power grid and saying to power providers, hey, we know you're making money on AI. We know these data centers are profitable, but we see a gap in timing for whenever there are non-peak hours, and you've invested a lot into nuclear power. You've invested a lot into solar panels. You've invested a lot into wind turbines and all these great production methods of power, but you're not seeing that revenue and the profits at these non-peak times. And Bitcoin mining ramps up and down very easily. You can turn a Bitcoin miner off like that. It's a very simple process. The ASIC chip itself is very complicated in these Bitcoin miners, but at the end of the day, it does one thing, and it does one thing very well. It's an ASIC chip. It repeats the SHA-256 algorithm for Bitcoin over and over and over, and it can turn off whenever you need it to. So when AI peaks up, you can turn the Bitcoin mining off and provide that power back to the data center. When AI is starting to balance down, or when it's starting to ramp down, you can balance that out with Bitcoin mining. And we're going to see AI start to put itself into green energy environments because let's, say you have a big investment for this green energy source where another source might have been more profitable. You add in Bitcoin mining, you have a balanced business model where you can really change the world with AI technology, Bitcoin mining, and green energy. I hope I answered the question as well as I could, but I just think it's at the forefront of the future of power production in the United States and the rest of the world.
It is. And as we all talk about in Bitcoin mining, it's a pioneer species, right? Bitcoin mining can go out there where there is no industry, no economy, find the cheap energy, establish the industrial base for a new economy to grow up. And then it has a demand for that power. And thus a whole entire little economy can pop up out of nowhere because we got Bitcoin mining at the forefront at the beginning of it all. And so Bitcoin mining doesn't waste energy. It uses wasted energy, another line we love to use. But in talking to power companies, I mean, that seems to be another path that could be really advantageous for Bitcoin miners is embedding themselves within these power companies. I think Shell has been mining Bitcoin for quite some time now. So have you guys talked to energy companies? And how is that relationship growing over the time that you've been with Canaan?
Well, we've always been talking to energy companies, and as a matter of fact, some of our largest customers were energy companies before they were brought by us into Bitcoin mining. I stop here. I let Christopher, continue.
Still holding your Bitcoin on an exchange? Well, you're not alone. A lot of people hesitate because the jump to self-custody can feel overwhelming. The hardware, the seed phrase, and the risk of losing it all if you make a mistake. BitKey fixes that. BitKey is the hardware wallet from the team behind Square and Cash App. It comes out of the box as a 2 of 3 multi-sig wallet without the complicated setup of a traditional multi-sig. No seed phrases to memorize, no worries when life happens. And with a built-in inheritance feature, your Bitcoin can be passed on safely to loved ones. It's simple, it's secure, it's self-custody without the stress. Get 10% off at bitkey.world. That's bitkey.world with the code Bitcoin News. Now back to the show.
So we had a wonderful pilot that turned into a big project in North America with Stronghold Digital, and they were using green energy. They were using elements that were polluting the environment to produce power. And in this partnership, we were able to put these resources in another place other than out in neighborhoods and the countryside, places where people would be affected to it, and put it into power that put hash rate online for Bitcoin mining. An amazing company. They're now with Bitfarms, and Bitfarms saw that same advantage of this resource, and they are using it to look into HPC and AI as well. I'm glad that Leo brought up our relationship with power companies because it's true. Some of our greatest partners, for example, CleanSpark, they have a background in power management and power, and even today they have on their power balance green energy and nuclear power. Another great partner, Cipher Mining, they have great power resources that they put into supporting Bitcoin mining and putting that hash rate online. And then we could talk globally in the past since 2012 and 2013, but power has always been one of the major components to Bitcoin mining, and we've been through it all.
Yeah, I think your longevity definitely sets you apart, right? And makes you a trusted name. And when you're going to these big players like Cipher, who you work with, CleanSpark, how do you sell them? How do you say, hey, you want a Canaan rig and not anybody else? What makes you guys different, and why would they choose you?
So I'll take this one since I'm deep in those waters, and I'll save a lot of the other topics for Gwyn and Leo. But what we offer at Canaan is a machine that gives uptime. A machine that doesn't shut down in the afternoon when the sun is hot and the data center starts to heat up. And we also offer a machine that comes at a good price point that will keep that return on investment, the ROI calculation, good for your stakeholders, your investors, and the owners of the company. What we offer is a machine that doesn't push the limits too hard that you're going to see it shutting down at those vital times where you need Bitcoin hash rate, but also is really at the cusp of what you can do in Bitcoin mining. We're offering high amounts of computational power. The terahash numbers are very high on our machine, and the power efficiencies are very good. We keep the power efficiency at great numbers so that you can make the most of the power you have. And that's how we contact these. That is how we communicate with these companies. We're offering a product that runs for a good price.
Yeah, wonderful. And you obviously you sell a lot of them to these main players, right? Bitcoin mining has become really centralized over the last half a decade. And so you've got these large industrial farms, but a movement over the last year or two has been the home mining movement. So we have the BitAxe open source where people are soldering these chips together and mining on their desktops. But you guys are really taking the lead of doing these lottery miners and from an industrial standpoint and selling them to the home miner. Would love to talk about the business behind that and what kind of interest you're seeing in the market for people mining at home with smaller rigs, quieter rigs, and rigs that can provide heat for homes too. Gwyn, please, if you'd like to take this one.
Yeah, so I think our foray into consumer mining started because, as we talked about earlier in the program, our CEO, our founder, is very passionate about the idea of decentralization of the network, as well as everybody on the globe should have an opportunity to do Bitcoin mining, to participate, so they're not shut out years from now, finding out that, discovering there's this Bitcoin thing and not having a piece of that. So as part of that, he decided to invent consumer products that were easy to use, that were dual purpose. The byproduct of Bitcoin mining is heat. So, why can't you use a miner in your home to heat a room, as well as mining for Bitcoin? And it was such a great idea. The machines that we produced all have regular, in the US, 110-volt power. Anybody can plug it in, connect it to your Wi-Fi at home, and join the pool and just start Bitcoin mining while heating your room, offsetting the expense of doing that. But at the core, it's just all our CEO's passion for decentralization and making it available to everybody. So I think it's a really great thing. We launched three products at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, in January. But other than that, we haven't done a lot of advertising, but because of just word of mouth and all the positive reviews that the products have been getting through influencers and people who've just gone online to talk about them, the numbers have grown without much marketing at all from us, just because there is an interest. People do want to participate. So, I think we've been more than happy with the results that we've been getting of late, and would expect that to grow. I mean, we've over the summer, we've almost doubled the amount of machines that we delivered. And that was during the summertime, when who's thinking about heating their room? But, obviously the demand is there. People are interested. And I think that'll only continue to grow with the products that we have and other applications that we're only just, scratching the tip of the iceberg on.
Yeah, and so a lot of these home mining things have been very DIY, right? Outside of Canaan, people doing it by themselves. I mean, they're loud and they might not be as visually attractive as the products that you guys create. So I think it's so cool that you guys are really pioneering the home mining aspect of it all. And if we look at the Nano 3S, I believe that has 6.8 terahash per second, right? And so, I mean, an S9, the workhorse of the 2017 era, I mean, that thing has 13 terahash. So it's like half an S9 right there that you can just sit on your desk. It's quiet. It's beautiful. It has an app that you can use that's super simple, right? It's just plug and play, ready to go. And you're part of the lottery, the worldwide lottery to win a Bitcoin block. Every 10 minutes, a new block is discovered. A block today is worth $380,000, right? If you find one of them. And so I did a little bit of the math. And so if with a Nano 3S, if you run that for a year, you've got a 1 in 3,500 chance of finding a block, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so cool. I mean, and
that's our smallest machine. I mean, we have 3 versions, and that's the small one. That's the one that I have, so it's more approachable perhaps. But we have our our Avalon Q is
Mhm.
which Q is for quiet, so you can have it running in the background and it's not distracting. But that's, what is it, 90 terahash per second? So
Yeah.
that's, it runs on the same chips that we use to make industrial machines. So
Yeah, and it's all so cool, right? I mean, it just I'm not that technical myself, but I've been able to get into mining a bit, and just to participate in
Oh,
the network
very good.
it's so much fun, and it makes you feel like you're playing your part in Bitcoin. But
Yes.
making that transition from the industrial miners to the home miners, what was that like from a company basis? Did you have to create new supply chains and do what goes into that? I have no idea. Tell me.
It all attributes to our CEO who was really good at creating consumer level products. Most of our team members are still coming from industrial background. But the Asian supply chain has been so flexible nowadays that you can easily design a consumer level product and test run them at a very minimal cost and run this concept to prove they're worthwhile. So it actually started as a Kickstarter program, where we were trying to kind of test the temperature a little bit. But then, more and more people start to embrace the idea of Bitcoin mining, and we, adjust our software and make people's interface easier. And over time, we getting more products out, and we are working on some of the other very exciting projects right now. But it all comes down to the concept that at one point, with the help of new technology, industrial level products will move into consumer level products. It happened to PC. It happened to home monitoring system, video surveillance system. It happened to smart home system. So I would say in time it will happen to Bitcoin mining, because if you think about it, more than 99% of the electricity used in Bitcoin mining will be transformed into heat, right?
Mhm.
So it's a big burden for the environment if you run it in places where the heat is just dispersed into the environment. But it's actually doing people some good if you can reuse the heat for multiple purposes, right? So if you create a smaller gadget, surrounding the heat, that means you can use it for smart home purposes, and then you can control it with a cell phone, and you can share your experience online, and you can educate your kid with what Bitcoin mining could be. So that's a lot of interesting moments for people who purchase our machines and paying attention to our new developments. And that really make our company stand out as a volunteer into the new venture. And I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, with Bitcoin mining, I mean, it's crazy to think about. I mean, you guys, of course, your main product is Bitcoin, the digital commodity itself. But when you think about it, these machines produce heat. And so if you think about it the other way and say, hey, our main product is heat and our byproduct is Bitcoin, it creates completely different business models. And also, one of the
Yes.
biggest industrial uses of electricity in the world is to heat things up. So, if you're going to heat
Yes.
anything up, you might as well run it through an ASIC and make some Bitcoin at the same time. I've got a business suggestion for you guys. Do you guys know about the spa in Brooklyn that heats their pools with Bitcoin miners?
Yes, I've heard
Oh,
of
we heard
that.
about
Yeah.
it.
You guys need to make a Canaan spa in New York City, and show off you
great
guys'
idea.
Or New
capabilities.
Jersey.
Or New Jersey, yes. Come on over to the other side of the Hudson and join us over here.
There's so many great purposes that you could use the warming of water through Bitcoin mining. For example, even hydro cooled Bitcoin mining machines. So, just real quick, you can cool a Bitcoin mining machine down with air, with fans. You can cool it down with dielectric fluids. So you're running a type of oil through the machine or in the machine, or hydro. You're running water through the machine. And there's a lot of uses for that water. Actually, you could even preheat water for a system for heat generation, like for boilers, and other processes where you need heated water as a precursor to what you're producing. So this is 100% on spot. And I was recently at a conference, Heat Punk in Denver, Colorado, and we had three spas set up where you could have a hot tub I guess adventure. You could relax there, and it was all heated by immersion-based Bitcoin miners. It was a great conference where we talked about these innovations. But I think you're right on with that heat use, and we have a lot of hope and not just that, but plans on how to make that happen. And I think it's great that you brought up the S9. We had the A8 at this time period, but these machines, they were a small amount of computational power compared to right now. But the truth is the chips we're using for the Nano and for the Q and for these home products, just as Gwyn said, this is the same semiconductors that we use in our industrial products. So that means very power efficient. So if you run an S9 in your house, you're going to be using a lot of power. You can just set a Nano in your house, a tenfold more power efficient, much more power efficient, and you'll still have that 1 in 3,000 odds to solo Bitcoin. Hey, that's better than trying to get a royal flush at the table. So I like those odds.
Absolutely. Yeah, so many things to be excited about with Bitcoin mining. Bitcoiners in general are very they're willing to tinker, right? And try new things, experiment, and go out on a limb and do something that people hadn't done before. So it's so great that you guys are bringing this into the homes. I think it's a great family project too, to show kids that like, hey, you're mining Bitcoin. We're adding to the network right from our desktop right here. So as we look forward into 2026, I mean, of course, AI isn't going to go away. Energy is going to be a huge part of this whole entire story. What exciting things are coming from Canaan within the next 12 months?
Well, I'll start. So yeah, this is not forward-looking statements as a securities law perspective. But we are very excited to see our company thinking of getting more consumer level products. And we have mentioned that we're gonna announce our next generation miner. We are going to expand in cell mining space because we have already signed quite a few new partners in North American regions, which will grow as we grow and provide spaces for us to expand our cell mining. In several places, we also mentioned that we're considering marching into owning our own power infrastructure and mining infrastructure, especially in North America. We've been doing pilot programs for some of our customers in replacing their old hash boards and chips with the new ones while keeping their existing infrastructure, which is very environmental friendly and save a lot of costs and labor. I guess Canaan has been doing a lot of things that nobody else had thought to do from beginning. And I really see Canaan as a very solid choice for supply chain because even with the tariff, the Asian supply chain, many products and parts are very valuable to North American developers for data centers, whether it's blockchain data centers or AI data centers. And with our history and our roots in Asia, I think we're going to play our bigger part into all that international cooperation between North American software and Asian hardware.
Wonderful. Chris or Gwyn, would you like to have any other parting thoughts here?
So, as I said, I'm the newest member of the Bitcoin world on this team. So I think when you look at a year from now, it's so hard to say because Bitcoin mining is so flexible and so changing and so adaptable from my perspective that who knows where we're going to be in a year from now. who knows what's going to be going on. But I do know, based on Canaan's history, that we're going to be a part of it, which is really exciting because I think it's so hard to predict, yet so exciting to not really know what's next. So keep an eye on us. We'll be there.
Absolutely. Yes. And Chris.
Yeah, it's been a great adventure so far in the Bitcoin mining world. If you've been through at least more than one cycle before, you start to have deja vu, seeing things repeat themselves. And I'm sure you're no stranger to that, Rob. Bitcoin mining is pure power usage. We put revenue into power providers' pockets, and we're able to expand that power for the grid and for everyday use for everyone around the world. So if a blizzard comes through, there's power ready because we've helped put it online. If it's a hot summer and the air conditions need to be run, definitely Bitcoin mining was helping to expand the power grid. So we have that. And if you look at the history of big advancements, especially in the United States, sometimes there are times when you need a lot of power capacity available. And I won't talk about history. You can look it up yourself, but there's been times where we needed a lot of power for big developments. But looking forward to the future, we're looking at AI, and it's in data centers. It's going to need a lot of power, and not about specific comings for Canaan. I just will mention that you should look out for this company because we just keep doing it every single time, every single cycle, with those principles in mind that we're trying to make the world more efficient and help make the world a smarter place. And Bitcoin mining is definitely a part of it, whether it's industrial or home use. And I'm really happy to be a part of the story.
Cheers. Yeah. And doing the research on you guys, it's very impressive what you've been able to do, especially post-COVID, since the migration from Asian mining to North American mining, and then getting into, of course, consumer mining, and you're doing it yourselves, having a Bitcoin treasury. It's really very cool to see what you guys have been able to accomplish in just the last 5 years. So yes, keep Canaan on your radar. They are definitely a company that needs to be paid attention to. So thank you so much for your time. And would love to have you guys back on in a year and tell us about all the amazing new things you guys got going on.
I love that. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you could drop a like and a share, it would help in our mission to accelerate adoption. If you're looking for more Bitcoin signal, join over 10,000 readers of our newsletter, Bitcoin News Weekly. Every Monday morning, we send out the biggest headlines of Bitcoin to keep you in the know in under 5 minutes. Links below in the description. Then come hang with us live every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern. We break it all down live on stream with a new guest, and you can add your 2 sats in the chat. See you next week.